Welcome back to Introduction to iOS Application Development at SSFS. So in this lesson, we're going to start to add the ability to let a user create their own new journal entries. So in order to do that, we're going to need to add a new view controller whose job it is to add entries. So let me go ahead and shrink this down a little bit. Whoa. Drag over here. I'm going to go to my object library and add a new view controller. I'll put it right here. And in my document outline, I'll create this, I'll create the title of New Journal Entry View Controller. All right, let me just go ahead and zoom in a little bit. So in order to be able to type something in, I need to actually add a place for the user to type. So we're going to use a text view again. I'm going to create that. I'm going to drag my text view, put it a little bit lower this time. And let's drag it out. Make it a little bit bigger just in case I have a lot to write. Let's go ahead and add the constraints in. So I'll do top layout guide, and then leading space, trailing space, and then vertical space in the bottom layout guide. Good. And then I'm going to delete that text so that it's just blank. Okay, so now I've got that configured. Now I need a way to get to it. So I'm going to go back to my table view controller, and I'm going to add a button to my navigation bar. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my object library, and I'm going to create a bar button. I'm going to take this bar button item, I'm going to move it here, and I'm going to use the attributes inspector, which is option command 4. I'm going to change system item to compose, and now it has that little compose icon that people are familiar with. And so again, the navigation controller can handle the navigation from this view controller to my new journal entry. So all I need to do is, let me shrink out a little bit here. So I'm going to go to this navigation item, this compose item, and I'm going to drag it to my new journal entry view controller. And the segue I want is present modally. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this. And we'll notice that I now have this compose button. When I tap on it, I can click and this is my new entry. But I have no way to save it or to go back. So let's go ahead and figure out how we can do that. Notice also, however, I have two segues from my table view controller. I've got the one that goes to my new entry view controller and the one that goes to my journal entry contents view controller. So how does it differentiate between the two? Let's go ahead and put in a breakpoint in our code so we can kind of take a look at this a little bit better. Let me go to the table view controller code. I'm going to go to the prepare for segue method. I'm going to edit my breakpoint. I'm going to add a log in action that says preparing for segue. And I want it to automatically continue. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. I'll make sure my console window is open. All right, let me go ahead and tap a row, and you can see it says preparing for segue. If I go back here, if I have the compose button, it also says preparing for segue. So it's doing the same preparation for both of those, and I don't think I wanted to do that. So what I need to do is find some way to differentiate between these two segues so that I can assign different operations to each one. So let me go ahead and stop this. And I'm going to delete this breakpoint so it doesn't, actually I'm going to leave that there for right now. So the way I'm going to accomplish this is by the use of segue identifiers. So I'm going to go to my interface builder, my storyboard, and I'm going to tap on the segue between my journal entry. And you can see that in the attributes inspector, I have an identifier. So I'm going to make this identifier journal entry. And now I'm going to go to my table view controller. I'm going to add a new property up here. I'm going to say let journal entry segue identifier equal journal entry. So again, I'm just creating a variable or a constant that's going to hold the value of this text so I don't have to change it in multiple places if I need to. So I'm going to go down to my prepare for segue, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to put in another line here. If segue.identifier equals, so I'm using two equal signs because I'm doing a comparison, my journal entry segue identifier, then I'm going to do all this code. So I'll cut that, put it in here. Now it says, if it is this identifier, do what I've had it do before. So now I have a way to differentiate between the two different segues. Now this preparation will only happen if I'm going to the journal entry view controller, not the new journal entry view controller. One other thing to notice before we move on to the next lesson is if I go to the main storyboard, and when I look at the journal entry view controller, I have a navigation bar. But when I look at the new journal entry view controller, it does not have a navigation bar. And the main reason for that is in the type of segue. This was a show segue. And you can see that what it's highlighted, it says show. This segue is a present modally segue. And anytime you do a modal segue, you do not get a navigation bar. So if we want one of those, we're going to have to do it manually. And we will tackle that next time.